if you're running Facebook ads, but you're also on the other side, on the Google side, we share some customers as well. And one of the big things that I think is really as important is got your head down working your own side of the equation. It's really important to have communication between two sides.
Inside of Google's Performance Max, which is an AI-driven marketing mechanism, meaning Google's making all the decisions. It's choosing what ad to put in front of what person at what time. And this is the part that's crazy, Google actually chooses what page on your website to send them to.
This is media buying in 2023 now, Kasim. It's not just have an offer, throw it in a website conversion campaign, and Meta and Google will take care of the rest. It's far more insight, far more intelligence, and that's where we're really seeing the puck going, as opposed to where it is right now. Hello and welcome to the Perpetual Traffic Podcast. This is your host, Ralph Burns. This is the show where we share cutting-edge strategies on acquiring leads and sales to acquire more customers so you as a business can achieve your vision, Kasim. That's what we do here. Your vision. That's what we
that's
want.
The first time I've heard you say achieve your vision. Are you testing new things, Ralph? Are we trying out?
I really think that all business is just not all about acquiring customers, Kasim. It's about achieving your personal vision for your organization. Like, what is it that you want to achieve? It's not just making money. Making money is helpful, useful. Obviously, it's certainly very useful in business. But a lot of businesses that don't even care about making money, making any profit, because they just use venture capital or publicly traded companies that operate at a loss for years and years. But there's some higher purpose that I think every business has out there. Once you get to a level of profitability, I think this is one of the things a lot of businesses struggle with. And it's one of the things that we actually do as part of our intake form when we take on a customer at tier 11 is talk to them about their vision. Like, what is it that's driving you? So I think actually putting that into our intro to this podcast, gives me sort of the warm and fuzzies here. Cause I think,
I love it.
Yeah, we're not all about just money grubbing capitalists here. We are actually trying to do something. And I think we're trying to do something pretty positive. And our vision actually is to help purpose-driven businesses achieve their vision. So
Dude, that's meta. Your vision is other people's vision.
Our vision is other people's vision. So
your vision squared.
Vision squared. But yeah. So I think a vision is an important thing. And if you don't have a vision as an organization, it's okay. Most businesses don't, what we found, but we take our customers now through sort of a vision exercise and integrate it into everything that we do. So,
well, can I challenge that a little bit? I know what you're saying. Most businesses don't, and I think you're right. Most businesses don't have something written down. But I think if you talk to a founder long enough, most businesses do, or most founders do, and just don't realize that they haven't formalized it. Because if you get them there and it's Socratic in nature, you kind of get to the point to where you realize this isn't about the money for this person. It's about insert this more important thing here. And they've been functioning with a strong vision the entire time. Now, very often they haven't shared it with anybody, correct, which is catastrophic error, right? Because now your employees don't know they're climbing a ladder that's propped up against this very specific wall, and you have to go proliferate that information. I really love the vision thing. I'd be interested from our listeners, actually. God, what a fun exercise that would be. You should share your vision with us. Go to perpetualtraffic.com/better. That's where you can go give us feedback. But if you want to share the vision you have for your business, we'll read it out loud on the podcast, because I think that would inspire other people to craft their own vision. And what a world we would live in if every business was more intentional about putting their vision forward.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And he talks about the golden circle, which we can leave links in the show notes for that. And it's all about, he sort of creates this circle, and on the outer portion of it is what you do. So in our case, it's media buying, it's content creation, it's all the sort of stuff, Google, Meta, Facebook ads, after the click stuff. And then the how is your own secret sauce, your way of doing it, your way of seeing what is and making it unique to your particular company. And this is having talked to many, many people about many agencies struggle with that part. So for us, it's this system that we use called customer acquisition amplification. We talk about it on all the time, like throughout our entire organization. But that is a means to which we achieve our why, which is the center part of the golden circle, which is help purpose driven businesses achieve their vision. And when we do that, we achieve our vision. And so I agree with what you're saying, actually. And we didn't really anticipate this as part of the show here today, but I agree with what you're saying, because when I ask companies what their vision is, they're like, yeah, our goal is to sell. Let me just give you an example of one where we did in person about 4 or 5 months ago. It was a product that, uh, keeps, cars, RVs, boats, motorcycles like super, super shiny for a long period of time. And, keeps like that brake dust stuff like off the inner part of the wheel. I guess that's the hub, or the I don't even know, the mag. So, but their product prevents like dirt from actually staying on the car. So actually, it's an amazing product. So I said, well, what's your guys' vision? It's like, well, sell more of X product. I'm like, no, well, why are you doing it? It's like, well, I want to do this for me and my family, and I want to get, I want to leave this for my kids eventually. I'm like, why are you doing it? It was after the fifth or sixth, probably like the sixth why. This is really how we do it. Is he finally said, well, we make magical moments, memorable moments with DIYers that love their car, their vehicle, and those happy moments they spend with their family or with themselves, just in the pride of ownership. And that's why I do what I do.
Hmm.
So it took me 6 or 7 whys to get to that, because I was like, it's not really about making money. Yeah, you need to make money. Yeah, you want to provide for your kids. Yeah, you want to provide for your family. What's the real deep thing? And then he almost was in tears, because this really spoke to, why is it that you want to become a $1 billion company? What is that going to get you? You can't spend all that money, as they say in Wall Street. Like, how many motorboats do you want to jet ski behind? How many motorboats are enough? You know what I mean? The point is like, what's your bigger vision? And what we found is, when we understand what their vision is, Kasim, because sometimes it's hidden. You're exactly right. It's not quite there yet, but it's just a matter of asking that question, why? And that's why that book is Start with Why. Because really, to find what that vision is, what that why is for your company, you ask the question, why do you do what you do?
Dude,
So,
so first of all, that was a nugget. I thought that was really brilliant. Second, I don't. You might already know this, Ralph. Have you heard of the practice, the 5 whys?
yes, and I forget why or how I've heard about it, but
So
enlighten
I
me.
do too. I think it's a Six Sigma thing,
Yeah.
or at least I heard about it through Six Sigma guys, but I just Googled it. And so here's lean.org. 5 whys is the practice of asking why repeatedly whenever a problem is encountered in order to get beyond the obvious symptoms to discover the root cause.
This is it. Yep.
And it's so funny that you bring this up, man. It's we joked earlier before we started recording about always abandoning the things that work. When I first heard this, I was really obsessed with it for about 90 days. And I would make anybody who talked to me, all my employees, clients, vendors, whatever, if we ran into a problem, an issue, something that felt like it had some depth, I would sit down and literally whiteboard the 5 whys. So I'd ask why the first time, and then we put everything under why one column. And then I'd ask why a second time, we put everything under why two column. And it was so powerful. It was insanely powerful. And it helped us. Like, there were things we were doing that we just shouldn't have been doing. There were things that we were doing that were so important and they weren't prioritized. And then one day we just like, I just stopped. I think because it's really fatiguing. So I want to go back. You just inspired me. I'm going to go back. I'm taking a little note for myself right now. I'm going back to the 5 whys, because that is, I mean, for finding your purpose, that's a great way to start. Um, and I think that's the nugget for today. If you don't mind me lobbing that up at you, uh,
We'll take it. I think it's
yeah, it's a great
important.
one.
I think it's
Yeah.
important because it really is, as a business. I've found that when you have that why, when you have a purpose for the organization, it, especially today, with the types of people that are in the workforce today, and I'm not going to just paint a broad brush, but I guess I am. The millennials and even me as a Gen Xer, I don't know where you fall on that. You're probably more on the
I'm
millennial
technically a
side of it.
millennial.
Technically a millennial.
Yeah,
All
if you're
right. So
born
here's
after
a
1980, you're a millennial, and I'm 85. But we're that middle ground millennial that kind of
right.
like I understand you, Ralph, is what I'm saying.
Right, right. You
Yeah,
still get the people who, like people that were born in what, 92 forward, basically know no other world except a
without
connected
the internet.
world.
Yeah, no, I,
Right,
I come from a time when they didn't put rearview mirrors on the passenger side of vehicles, so
right.
I know hardship.
You have did you have like roll up car windows?
Oh yeah,
Did you
dude.
have that?
Yeah, that's why
Rotary
like if you roll up
phones?
next to somebody and you need them roll down your window, I still do this. I don't know what kids do now. I think they just like point. I mean, how did?
Dude.
Yeah,
Call me, text
yeah.
me.
Hang up the phone.
Yeah, swipe
Right.
left, swipe right. I don't know. Yeah, no, I think it's super important because as soon as you do that as a business, people start to rally around it, and I think it's an important part of recruiting. I know you have a really good way of recruiting. Our methodology, I think, is, I mean, we could debate this, but I really feel like our methodology of how we recruit people, we've been doing it for such a long period of time, is like the best in the world. Like we've got a great HR department, really knows how to zero in on it, and we focus in on this so much. We focus in on the match between what they're looking for and what we offer, and it always comes back to the why. Why is Tier 11 doing what it's doing? And I'm not saying this to like promote Tier 11. I'm just saying for your business, you should have a higher purpose and rally around that. Like when I do a CEO video every other week or so for the troops, I always mention it. I always bring it back to this, to the point where our COO, Ryan, who we should probably have on the podcast at some point in time, like is so tied into this because he's like, nothing in a whole business works unless you actually have your why. Because all
Mm.
the other parts of it, and he has this wheel that he sort of shows, it's like a flywheel effect. And that's when you really start to gain momentum. And I think us as an organization, we really got clear on our why. We started to really move forward in the right way. And we were stuck for a while like in growth, and we are stuck no more. And I think it has a lot to do with crystallizing the why. So we'll leave some links in the show notes for that here today. We did not intend that to be the nugget du jour, but I
Dude,
guess
we
it
should do a
turned
whole
into
episode
one.
on the Haji wheel. Haji?
Haji wheel,
Like
the
Johnny
Haji
Quest,
wheel.
Haji?
Yeah, well, his last name is Hodges, so we just call it the Haji wheel.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's an episode I'd love to hear. I would just sit and listen.
yeah. We will. We'll have him on. If we're going high level here, we might as well go all the way,
All the
and
way.
that's all
From
the
the
way.
clouds to the stars
That's it.
to
That's
the
it.
multiverse.
But this will be released over on our YouTube channel. So check it out over at perpetualtraffic.com/YouTube. I'm using a new camera here today, Kasim. So I'm not sure if I look at you or the camera. I need to like replace it in the
I
right
think you should
way.
just be natural
I think I'm just going to be natural. I'm just going to be looking at you over there and occasionally look at the viewer
at the
over there.
people. Yeah. When you
Yeah.
want to make an impactful statement, you can
I,
do the
th-
politician thing and
I
just
think
turn to
that's
the
what I will
camera
do. Yes. I
and have your
will.
little thumb up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to use that today. So today we're going to get into a case study where we will actually be sharing screen here so you can see what I'm talking about. And this is an extension of 2 or 3 other episodes that we've done on what we're now referring to as the ACC model, which is awareness, consideration, conversion, going up funnel. We almost, this and the cloudy sort of foggy image in the background is that model exactly, but we're going to be getting into a case study where we talk about specifically how we did it, and it also involves Google.
Dun
Kasim.
dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
I love things that involve Google.
Yeah, we love Google, and we're going to get
Yeah.
into that just after this quick break. All right, we are back. We're going to be talking about a case study here today that relates to a couple of other podcasts. So this is it's almost like a series, Kasim. We talked about it theoretically way back when I did the summary of the Meta Performance Summit. It's about 2 months ago. We'll leave links to that in the show notes. And then we also talked about sort of full funnel awareness, and how we're now seeing that as a way in which to scale businesses that have sort of reached a level of scale and have not been able to sort of get out of that website conversion, red ocean, yet another book that we talk about, blue ocean, red ocean, all the time. And it, we're seeing this with larger brands, and especially with me doing a lot of the introductory discovery calls the last month or so, larger brands just being really frustrated that their current agency can't get them to that next step of scale. $25 million companies, $30 million companies, $60 million companies, maybe even if you're even small, like, couple of million, like getting to that next step sometimes is a challenge if you're fighting in the website conversion in the high intent based keywords red ocean. And what we have found is that there's not a 5-step formula. There's not a 3-step formula for all this. It's about being very observant and really looking for signals.
Hmm.
And in today's case study in this ACC model, that we're now and we're opening up the kimono here. Like, I'm telling you guys, like, what we're testing behind the scenes, not as a pitch for tier 11, but it's like, if you're not doing this in your own business, or at least testing it out, or at least looking for it, you are shortchanging yourself in an era where advertising costs, especially in the conversion side, and looking into the next 4 or 5 months where advertising spending is going to be very, very competitive. Now is the time to start implementing this strategy. And we've started to do it with a number of customers now. And the caveat also is that this takes a little while to kick in. But you can do it with very small budgets to start. And oftentimes it's just being observant and looking for signals. And when I say looking for signals, looking for, okay, your best converting website conversion video ad, or going into your Google account and seeing like what is working inside the Google account. And maybe that might be able to, you might be able to take that learning and bring that over on the Meta side, and then expand that out to TikTok and, to Snapchat, all the other channels, so that you're getting a broad coverage, but you're looking for the signals that would indicate that people are interacting with top of funnel content in most cases. And in this one here, this is more of like consideration content, because it's a blog post that we utilized, that we noticed in our final URL expansion campaigns for our Google team was sucking up a lot of the spend. This customer is in a niche where they have a really, really vibrant blog. They add to it almost every single day. And URL expansion started to expand outward from the sales pages, the landing pages, the webinar registration pages that we were using for our Google Performance Max ads. In this one keyword phrase, this one blog post, which was very specific to a problem that their target market had. And some of this is going to have to be obviously blurred out, just to keep confidentiality here. But the point was, it was on a how to for one of the biggest problems that their ideal customer has. And in this case, what we found is that we were getting conversions through our Google Performance Max ads. We said, well, hey, that blog post, that post, it's, why don't we just start running traffic to it as a website conversion campaigns? So we took that blog post, which was once again, like, this is one of the biggest problems in this particular niche, and it's in the credit niche. It's about as much as I can say about it, but it's one of the big problems that this customer has. And their ideal avatar is someone who might already have credit issues, and then as a result of that, they sell products based upon that to help others with credit issues. So it's in a very interesting market.
Hmm.
And the point is we had no idea that any of this would work, or But Google Performance Max, once again, with final URL expansion, we just noticed the signal. We just picked up on the signal and said, all right, well, maybe we should create some Facebook ads around that. Maybe we should try it and see if that works the same way. Sure enough, we spent $400 or $500 and we got a 1.24 x return on ad spend immediately. So we knew we were onto something. The point was is that uh, without really looking at some of your data, if you're not looking at your entire scope of data, and if you're running Facebook ads, but you're also on the other side, on the Google side, I know we share some customers as well. And one of the big things that I think is really as important is even though you've got your head down working your own side of the equation, it's really important to have communication between two sides. I'll pause there for a second, and because I know you work with other agencies and you work with internal teams that might do the meta side, and then you guys are doing a lot of this. And in this case, it worked really well because they had a very content rich, like really, really good blog, and with calls to action, Johnson boxes in the middle of it, sidebar, everything in there. So it would make sense. But what's your sense? Have you seen this happen within your agency, Kasim?
Yeah. So I want to pause just real quick and explain to the layman potentially who's listening what final URL expansion is.
Good point.
Inside of Google's Performance Max, which is an AI-driven marketing mechanism, meaning Google's making all the decisions. It's choosing what ad to put in front of what person at what time. And this is the part that's crazy. I think this is the thing that surprised me the most about Performance Max. Google actually chooses what page on your website to send them to. So if you're selling slippers, Google might not necessarily send somebody to your Buy My Slippers page. They might send somebody to your why, nylon slippers are the best slippers blog. And it's counterintuitive for media buyers, but it's actually really intuitive for a normal human. Because a normal human realizes that for the vast majority of my slipper buying life cycle, I'm actually not interested in buying slippers. I'm interested in learning about slippers. And so Performance Max leans into that really heavily, and Google has a ton of information and data that lets it know, hey, this person needs to read a blog, needs to know more about features, needs case studies, testimonials, needs to know more about the company, etc. So as long as you have a content-rich website, and that's the prerequisite, and everybody should, as long as you have a content-rich website, it's like saying you need to have good nutrition if you're going to get into fitness. Like it's just table stakes, has to happen. There's no question. Content-rich website, enabling final URL expansion. It enables what Ralph is talking about here, which is Google will start to show you what content on your site moves the needle from a purchase perspective. And what's interesting is I'm always surprised. I'm always surprised to realize like, oh, people needed to know about that. That's so interesting. Now, I've never done what you're talking about here, Ralph, which is lift Performance Max URL expansion destinations and push them into Facebook. And we haven't done that because we're not a Facebook agency. We've given clients feedback on what their highest performing pages are and hope that they take action. But that's what's kind of cool about you being so integrated. Because it makes all the sense in the world, dude. It's like, oh, Google just gave me a thumbs up on this content. I should go pimp this same content out on Facebook. We have done a little bit of it on YouTube. And the thing that we do internally at Solutions 8 that I think is a great little nugget is we use content signals like this to create more content. So if I'm looking for something for a YouTube video or a social post, this is the type of flag that lets me know, oh, I should dive deeper here.
Yeah. Yeah. So you would take this in this particular case and maybe have the customer create a video around this particular problem or this subject that is giving you the signal through final URL expansion. Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct. And maybe the first thing that people should do is go to that page and make sure it's robust enough. Because if you have 250 blogs, the one that's getting all the traffic, is probably getting traffic based off of content signals, title tags, SEO friendly URLs, signals to Google that tell Google what the page is about. But you are going to want to make sure that your content is robust enough to really support whatever narrative you're putting forth. I have a really specific example of this. We had a blog. It was the top 20 reasons to choose Shopify. And it was just 20 bullet points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down the line. And they were really, really quick and short. That ended up being one of our most trafficked blogs of all time. And I think it's because people were, before they were ready to launch their e-com store, they just needed to know what platform to choose. Well, as soon as I saw that, we went and turned 20 bullet points into 8,000 words. And now, Jason Fladlin actually mentioned this on the podcast he was on recently. But if you look for top reasons to choose Shopify or why Shopify, I think just the words why Shopify, I'm pretty sure my blog is number one.
Hmm.
I'm looking at it now. It's directly after Shopify, and I have 20 reasons why Shopify is the best e-commerce platform. And I've got a video that wasn't there beforehand, and a bunch of built-out content. So you can use content as a quick litmus test for what other content you need to build, and then feed the machine. Uh, it's kind of a flywheel in that way. You start with a
Yeah.
little bit of content, wait for Google to tell you what content's working, and then beef that content up, and then put it top of funnel the way that you guys are doing inside of Facebook.
Yeah. Have you done this ever through Google Analytics in the past? I mean, I know.
Dude, I should. I mean, God, I'm such an idiot, Ralph. I wish I was a smarter human. An egg on my face for just the epic amounts of hypocrisy. We just had Mercer present at Driven, and Mercer was going over the new analytics, and he's showing me everything that you can tell. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is such a wealth of information, and I should absolutely be using this just for so many reasons, but obviously to guide my content creation because my users are telling me what they want to know more about, and I never look at it. Do you? Does anybody look at their analytics? Why we should, but I never ever. I know my ads team does for optimizing ads. I never look at analytics for organic content creation, and I should. It's such a stupid thing.
Because I mean it's there. I mean, especially with GA4. I mean, the data is there. We're making a very specific play to beef up our after the click
Hmm.
team, and so much so that we're really quadrupling that entire division because the signals for front of funnel are oftentimes embedded in the back of the funnel. The signals that you should pay for, that the signals that you should pay attention to, not pay for, pay attention to, are in GA4 now,
Hmm.
that you can then translate back to, especially if you have a solid third party tool, which I think is super important as well. Wicked Reports, or whether it's Northbeam or Triple Whale, not quite as much of a fan of, but like basically those two unto themselves, like you can track back like what URL, what blog ultimately led to a sale all the way through, even using GA4 now.
Right.
And that's our conversion architecture team is extremely adept at that. And then it colors and it almost leads strategy on the media buying side and on the creative side, which is fascinating. So something like this, we found basically through the Google Performance Max, but like these signals are everywhere. My point is like, this is not necessarily the thing. If you're not running Google Performance Max with final URL expansion, and thank you for explaining that to us, for who has never used it before, because there's a lot of tools out there that people probably have not used, but this is one of the best ones. I think we were super skeptical when it first came out, and now we're starting to see, oh my God, Google actually does know what they're doing here. It gave us the signal to go back into the other side of the equation, which is on Meta, and direct another test where we spent $2,000, a larger test, not even conversion campaign, just like a high level, just traffic campaign, and right to that piece of content. And we got a 0.39 ROAS, which
Wow.
a lot of people will be like, that's not that great. That's
No, on a
actually,
non-conversion campaign, that's nuts.
that's fantastic on a non-conversion campaign. So keep in mind, like this is a larger customer. These guys are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, but they're also looking for ways to get to that next level of scale, reach that next level of audience, expand their audience. And when you just focus on conversion campaigns, you are only getting the people that have visited your website, kind of know who you are, maybe watched a video of yours, have converted to something similar to your product in the past, or are in market basically right now. And that limits your scale. You're fighting against everybody else. These guys have 4 or 5 or 6 big competitors out there for their website conversion campaigns. They're fighting against them. They're battling. That's why the CPMs are $50, $60 CPMs. But if you can go out of that, get out of that red ocean, that bloodbath, that
Mm.
UFC 292 fight that's happening every day in website conversions, and actually create your own market through higher level consideration. Oh, let's educate the consumer on one of their biggest problems. Or even higher than that, we haven't even done this for this customer yet, is let's go brand awareness ads, talking about the founder story, maybe some kind of purely educational, no call to action audience with a reach campaign or a brand awareness campaign. You then expand your website conversion audience for you and you alone, and not for your competition. And that's where this strategy gets really, really exciting. This is just the first step for us. We're going bigger on all of this because the learnings are is that we're creating not only return on ad spend on the website conversion campaigns, great. The point is that these are becoming leads. And if you're looking at the screen here, watching on YouTube, you'll see that our spend, by testing more blogs, we increased spend pretty significantly from about $2,200 a month to $3,600 a month. And our ROAS went from a 0.39 on that initial test. Now we're getting a 1.31 ROAS. Because
That's
we're
super
started
cool.
to test different blog posts. We're like, all right, if that works for that one, let's test a couple of others that are basically in the same area. And this is a very, very small percentage of their overall spend. This might be like 1% of their spend.
Yeah, but it
Okay.
shows you what's working. This is like the metal detector. Why? Well, just
Exactly.
out of curiosity, why the big spike in December? Are they seasonal?
Uh, Yeah, I think they had a promotion running, as I
Okay.
recall. I don't exactly know, but yeah, we increased spend there. But the point is like you're getting return on ad spend right on these ads themselves. But more importantly, and this is almost like the longer view, is that we started to do this with video view campaigns, blog posts to level one, which is basically cold traffic, who with exclusions, it doesn't know who you are. These are maybe just lookalike audiences. They're your detailed targeting audiences. Take out your exclusions, your people who have visited your page or liked your page and visited your website, your past purchasers, your leads, all that, brand new customers. And then start testing this with lead magnets as well. You could actually turn this blog post into a lead magnet and create leads for you. So, which is precisely what we did here. So, we started to do this through Q1 and Q2 of this past year. And even though the ROAS was slightly decreased, we increased our leads by over 2,200 leads, a 13% increase in leads, by also increasing our top of funnel ad spend quite a bit. So we turn this into a lead generating mechanism based upon a relatively small ad spend. But the beauty of this is that because we have a third party tracking tool, Wicked Reports in this particular case, it was a great product. Like I know you know it. We love the third party tracking tools. Google Analytics GA4 is great, but you do need to triangulate. You have you have the you have your source of truth, which is like your CRM, your Shopify store. You have a third party tracking tool, and then we have GA4. So we sort of triangulate the three together to formulate what decisions we make, data driven decisions we make on the media buying side. When you piece it all together, when you stitch it all together, we found that the leads that we were bringing in from those new blog posts slash lead magnets, we were getting an earnings per lead of $1,400,
Mm.
which is staggering. So the case could be made that by increasing leads by $2,200, we have increased their potential revenue by millions, which is 2,200 multiplied by 1,400. A little bit of a stretch. The point is that we know that if we bring in leads, we can track it all the way through to the funnel through the third party tracking software, because so much of that revenue they make up for it with their paid products is through email, even though the lead came
Sure.
from either Google Performance Max, some cases, obviously, Facebook and Meta. And so what you want to do is you want to be able to stitch all those things together. And here's a case where you're looking for signals. Now, this is a little bit more of a complex type of business, but all we did is we were observant for the signals that were being presented to us and then formulated it into a strategy. And I think this is what advanced marketers really need to do now is look at everything, not in silos. Oh, what is Google getting? What is Meta getting? Oh, Meta is getting, a 2.3 ROAS and Google is getting a 7 ROAS. Well, spend more money on Google, right? Like you guys know as a Google Ads agency, that's not necessarily the case. It might be spend more on Facebook because the two are actually interplaying against each other or alongside each other in order to scale and grow the business. So what we really need to be able to do is look at everything from a 30,000 foot view sometimes. And this is what I was telling my team this past week. It's like, guys, we're in it all the time, just looking at everything from a 10-foot view. Zoom out every now and then and look at least once a week and look for opportunities to be able to use this type of strategy. Where are the signals pointing you? Where are the signals actually telling you, yeah, maybe you should spend more over here because this blog post is getting a tremendous amount of play, or this post that we posted on Instagram, all of a sudden it's like blowing up, but there's no conversions associated with it. But what's in that content? What are they talking about in there? Maybe use that potentially as an idea for a conversion campaign, an idea for a lead magnet campaign. And you can start seeing results like this. And this is media buying in 2023 now, Kasim. It's not just, have an offer, throw it in a website conversion campaign, and Meta and Google will take care of the rest. It's far more insight, far more intelligence, and that's where we're really seeing the puck going, as opposed to where it is right now.
Yeah, skate to where the puck is going. I think that the sophistication in the paid media space was always going to commoditize the bottom of the funnel on a long enough timeline because it's just easy math. Well, it costs me $10 to get visibility on this particular product. I make $100 on this product, so I can spend $99.
Mm-hmm.
I can get 9 out of 10 of the users. Uh, the top of the funnel is where commoditization, I don't want to say can't take place because it can get narrowed a little bit as more people engage, but it's where creativity reigns. Because if it's content, it's awareness building. It's kind of the fun part of marketing. It's Don Draper. It's
Yeah.
sitting around thinking about like, what do people want? What would catalyze interest? How do we get in front of them? And the nice thing about awareness building is, God, is that traffic cheap? Non-conversion
Super cheap.
campaigns, super
Super cheap.
cheap.
Super cheap.
And if you do the hard work to figure out what it is that really triggers people, you get to benefit from that.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are kind of doing this right. And I always sort of equate it back to how you're doing things right now with Solutions 8. Like you're doing top of funnel, very much just educational brand awareness. Let's help as many people as we possibly can. And then they trickle through. It's hard to do it with the YouTube stuff that you guys are doing. I assume it's the same strategy is working, but it's the same idea. Like
Yeah. Well, I
this is,
think we've taken less of an algorithmic approach. I could never sell what I do to a client. Like what you've done is you've figured out how to model it so you can sell it to a client. You're using very specific mechanisms in order to identify, okay, this blog at this time should go in this place. We're just, hey, what if you took everything that you do and you explained it simply and in great detail and gave it away to everybody on the internet for years and then hoped someday somebody came and bought from you? Like it's just a tough sell, but that's what
it's a
we
little,
chose to do.
it's a little insane. Yeah.
Right. Well, and it was insane because the Google Ads agency space is so saturated.
Yeah.
It was something of a Hail Mary, but man, did it work. I was on Twitter 2 days ago and somebody said something kind of snarky about us. I forgot what it was, but it was about the production value of our videos. It's
Yeah.
just me in my room and John is in his guest room and he's got a couch behind him and the light comes in at a weird angle.
Right.
And somebody else who I do not know came in and ripped that person's head off on Twitter. Like, it was a really unkind comment. And he was like, "Are you effing kidding me? These guys give away like insane amounts of value, absolutely free. What do you expect?" Here's what I'm getting at though is the amount of brand equity we've earned. Like, I've never been defended by strangers on the internet before. But I guess if you spend 2 years giving away a bunch of really awesome stuff, that ends up happening. And so I think there's a space for it for damn sure,
Yeah.
but it's difficult to quantify, difficult to guarantee, and you never know really what worked. It's not attributable. So I think what you've done is you found a model for top of funnel attribution, which is pretty cool, man. Congrats to you.
Well, I think the way to sell it is that you have to have that messy middle somehow. You have
Yeah.
to piece it together somehow. And I know with you folks, like when you do a YouTube video, which I think is a great strategy. I mean, the the dirty little secret that we always say with our agencies is that like it's content marketing is that the real thing that we do, and then we just put put advertising dollars behind the content. Really, it's pretty simple. It's like put as much high quality content out there, build the audience, build the community, build the credibility, and then eventually they will, when that zero moment of truth, when they're looking for the Facebook ad agency or they're looking for the Google agency or the, just ad digital marketing strategy just in general, they'll click through and finally say, all right, these guys have earned my trust. They seem to know what they're doing. I'm going to take that next step and spend 30 minutes talking to their sales team. So that's a little bit of a harder thing to do without like that messy middle being everything tied together, which
Yeah.
is where it's missing for you, but you're seeing it. You know that if you stop spending, will your leads drop off in accordance with, well, not stop spending, but let's say you decreased your spending by 50%. Would leads drop by 50% on the other side? Have you guys done any sort of tests, like just raw tests like that?
We have. It's funny because we ran an online challenge. I think this was October of 2022. I'm probably lying about the date. Ignore what I just said about the date. It doesn't matter. But we ran an online challenge. And the reason that's relevant is because we were spending a ton of money driving traffic to top of the funnel content. And we took that money and we paused those campaigns and we used it for our online challenge. The online challenge went great. But then I noticed, and it took months, Ralph. It was like 3 or 4 months. But all of a sudden I see this kind of just this decline in the number of leads we usually get.
Mm,
Um, But we had started spending again 30 or 40 days later. And so 30 or 40 days later after the decline, I saw an increase. But it let me know how long it takes for the money I spend at the top of the funnel to really show an impact in my business. And
right.
it's months. It's months
It's
out.
months.
Yeah, people need to they become solutions aid aware, no pun intended. And then they dive deep into our YouTube videos. And I think that they go super deep before they realize, I don't want to do this myself. And then they reach out, but that's a months long process,
Right.
um, which is a great learning lesson. I think everybody should know what their real path to purchase looks like, and my bullish opinion is it's always longer than you think it is. Even if
Yeah.
you're selling candy bars, it's longer than you think it is.
Yeah. And in this case study, it took 3 to 6 months for this data to come through. I'm sorry, it was it was 1 to 2% of their total ad spend. You know, I don't know as if they knew it was being spent,
Yeah,
but it was a hunch and a test based upon data. It was a data driven decision to go after this idea, which is something that we have realized that we used to advocate years and years ago, like put content before the actual conversion. Well, this is not a new concept, everyone. Get brand awareness and actually mimic the way that people really buy. Do people always buy on the first click? No.
has anybody
Maybe.
ever bought on the first click?
I mean, if you're really good, 1 out of 100, 3 out of 100 if you're amazing. The point is that 99 to 97% are not going to buy. So what are you going to do with them? Well, human nature is the way that it is. They're interested in your stuff in some way, shape, or form. Put your most valuable stuff in front of them, which is basically what
Mm.
you've done in front of Solutions 8. It's like, all right, we're going to educate you guys on how to do all this Google stuff. And then maybe you'll do it on your own. Cool.
Well, and dude, a lot of
That's
people
great.
do. That's the other thing to be really clear about. This would kill an info business.
Yeah.
Because there are people, I get this message all the time. Thank you so much. Everything you've taught me. I have a career in media buying. I've launched my own media buying agency. We're crushing it. I learned it all from you. Like, we've held literally nothing back.
Yeah.
And, it feels good to say, but it also means that I've eliminated the possibility of ascension through info, which is for some businesses just not possible. You just
Yeah.
can't do that.
Yeah. The flip side to that, though, is that because the content is so good, if you actually had a paid course, a lot of people would buy it because they would be like, oh my God, their free stuff is so good. Can you imagine what their paid stuff is like?
Yeah, that flip, dude. I tried that. It turned around on me. We'd given so much for free
Mm-hmm.
that when we did try to charge, the bar was set so because people assume that they're like, "Oh my god!" Like and then it was sort of more of the same. It was like, "All right, so I'm just paying you to organize it better."
Yeah.
So then you can play the game like, where do I hold back? Where do I draw the line? And but that always felt kind of dirty to me.
Yeah.
It's like I'm going to teach you most of it, but if you want the real stuff, so what we are doing, and actually I wasn't planning on ever announcing this, Ralph, but for whatever it's worth, we're launching a membership. So I'm calling it the Google Ads Rebellion. And we're getting a bunch of solo media buyers or freelancers or even agency owners. And we're charging a small monthly fee just to put them all in a room. And then once a week, we hop on and we help them like work through problems and issues. So it's not info, it's community. And I think that's the closest you can get if you're giving away all the secret sauce.
Mm. Yeah. I think, I mean, the model of we're going to give it all away for free. And then when you buy it, it's just neatly organized is a model that has worked for a lot of digital products companies out
Yeah.
there. I mean, for whatever reason, like that is the reason right there to say, okay, not all businesses are the same. It really depends. But if you've got a following, if you've got a community and you are building up to that point where, okay, I want to actually sell products into that space, there that model has worked extremely well. Like we have lots of customers that are in the digital product space and they do a ton of content, ton of blog posts, and then their course is maybe there's an element of done with you with some coaching, some one-on-one stuff, which sort of
Yeah.
sweetens it. So I mean, there is that, but the point is most of info marketing is just better organized stuff that's probably already out there anyway. You're just
Yeah.
organizing it in a systematic way. And I know info marketers have done that for years, but every business is different. Like you said,
I
your
remember I
goal
did that
here
with
is to get agency customers. So
I always question whether or not that was a flawed model. I think if I could go back, I would have made more money either doing something participation based, which we've talked about a bunch, or maybe something more like what Alric Heck does.
mhm.
Alric's model is brilliant, brilliant, brilliant because
He
it's
holds stuff
it's
back though.
he holds a ton back. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But he just teaches people how to do it and then helps them hire the resource that'll do it and then trains that resource. But it's nice because he gets paid what an agency gets paid with no accountability. If it doesn't work, he's like, "Oh, we'll fire him. We'll hire you another one." Um,
Yeah.
and that's not. I'm not bashing Alric, by the way. I'm a big fan, but it's a brilliant model. You know who else does that is Cole Gordon.
Yeah.
Cole's sales team, like he's not doing done for you sales. He's doing training that gets as close to done for you as you can get by hiring your sales guy, training your sales guy, helping you manage your sales guy. But at the end of the day, it's still on you.
Yeah. Still on you. Yeah. It's the paid consultant coaching model. Really, it's a beautiful thing. You're
It's
not accountable
beautiful.
necessarily for results. I mean, depends on what your offer is, but yeah, ultimately it is up to the individual to get the results on their own. You're just guiding them through the process. So, well, hopefully today's case study has been helpful for you. I would highly encourage you if you're a business or you're an agency, more so if you're a business, let's say you're a VP of marketing or director of marketing, is ask about these sorts of things from your people that are doing it right now. It's like,
Mm.
where are we getting other signals on other platforms? Give your team a day to look for them. Your campaigns aren't going to blow up and everything isn't going to self-destruct if you're not an ads manager 24/7. If anything, they might actually do better because you're not touching stuff in there. So if you're a director of marketing, this is what I would tell your team is look for those higher level signals that will allow us to scale in a different way and differentiate ourselves from the rest of the market. And I guarantee you there's signals embedded in your campaigns if you're running Facebook, Google, no matter where it is, or maybe on your website, maybe even on the content that you post on your Facebook page. I always keep going back to that. There's that little section inside, and I'll leave a link in the show notes for this. It's like where you can look at the content and gauge how many people have interacted with your content that you've been posting on your site. Look at your YouTube channel, the same thing.
Mm.
These are just signals, but you need to be aware of them. And I do find that sometimes media buyers, people that are doing this day in and day out, they're too focused on the task that's right ahead of them as opposed to looking around and looking up, maybe not the 30,000 foot view. I'll take the 10,000 foot view.
Dude, 10
You know,
feet. Some of these fools are just like,
yeah, they're
media
10
buyers want to
inches.
buy
Yeah.
media, and they
Yeah.
don't care if there's a chance there to go get it for free.
Yeah. So that's our takeaway here for today. Like I said, we'll leave links in the show notes here for everything that we talked about. I want to thank you for listening. As always, make sure you leave a rating and subscribe wherever you're listening. We keep forgetting to do our shout outs for our ratings. Anyway, if you've left a rating for Perpetual Traffic, we really appreciate that. Let us know what we can do better. And Kasim, you had the vision throwdown at the beginning of today's episode. Put your vision in perpetualtraffic.com/better. Is that what the call to action was?
Yeah, we want to hear it so we
I
can
want to
read
hear
it.
it. I want to hear it. Want to hear it. Want to get it out there. It's going to do you a lot of good. We'll definitely get Ryan Hodges on the show here to talk about the Hodgie wheel and vision and how it all works together and how it's something that's been transformative for our business. Make sure that you head over to LinkedIn, follow me over there at Ralph Burns, and then Kasim on Twitter or on X, now X, at Kasim Aslam. Go back and listen to previous episodes as always, and make sure that you do check out our YouTube channel at perpetualtraffic.com/YouTube. If you're already watching it there, fantastic. Love to have you. Leave a rating there too. And like I said, all resources and show notes are available at perpetualtraffic.com. On behalf of my awesome co-host, Kasim Aslam,
Peace.
until next show, see ya.